Hormone's Final Madness. Yeah! 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 Yeah!
Good day, everybody. Welcome to Hormone's Vinyl Madness, episode 33. Well, I'm continuing the thread that I've seen a few people follow now, albums that are under the radar. I'm not sure if these are actually under the radar. One of them definitely is. But, you know, there are 4 albums I've picked, and I'm sure I've got a heap more, that are possibly under the radar. So I thought I'd do them. This comes, the guy that started this is Flipside CT, Steve, over in the US of A. So I thought I'd jump in and do a CD too. I'm in front of my a video. I thought I'd jump in and do a video as well, in front of my Christmas tree, being that it's pretty close to Christmas now. I hope everyone's ready for the big day. Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm thinking Boxing Day I might do a video on what I received for Christmas, if I got any great goodies. Hopefully I did. Anyway, we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to move right along now. The first album is a band from the UK. This album I got in 1980, back when I was it 1980? Let me double check with that. Yes, 1980. I actually bought it. I started work that year. I was 15. So I started to get a little bit of extra money. I wouldn't say a lot of money, but a lot more than what I was used to. So I was able to start buying records again, and at a faster pace, I guess, and a few other things also. This band is a band called Matchbox. In Australia, I believe there was another band called Matchbox, so they were called Major Matchbox, and they had a big hit off this album called Rockabilly Rebels, and this album is called Midnight Dynamos. It's a rockabilly type album, not deep rockabilly as I would imagine rockabilly to be, but nevertheless it has that tone to it. There's the back cover. It's not a bad album. I listened to it again today for the first time in Lord knows how long, and it's on Magnet Records. It's in quite good order. I haven't played it for a long time, and it was stored away with my collection, and so it's still in good order. You know, the cover and album. The best song on it for me, although Rockabilly Rebel was their big hit, is the cover of Come On Let's Go. The Frankie... what's his name? The one that died with Buddy Holly anyway, that bloke. How can I forget his name? Anyway, they do a nice version of that, I like that, and that's Major Matchbox, Midnight Dynamos. Not bad, nicely recorded actually. It sounded alright, the album, you know. The next one I'd like to go over is a band from Perth. I think they're on a hiatus at the moment. You know, some of the guys are in got other projects going on, but I believe they may get back together with this project. Band's called Dominicks. I believe this is their only album. I played this again today. I have it on CD as well. It's a great sounding album. I think it's recorded here in Perth, in Western Australia. It's on Citadel Records, if anyone's interested. Citadel Records, you can Google them, and it's called Super Real. I like this record. It was nice revisiting it actually. I hadn't heard it for I don't know, 6 months or so, and one of the guys in the band, Nick Shepherd, he was one of the later members of The Clash at one stage, and he now resides here in Western Australia, and he met up with Dom Mariani, is that his name? Dom Mariani, yes, who's in another band from Perth called The Stems, and DM3. He's got a few things on the go, but yeah, this is a good album. It's quite garagey, bluesy sort of stuff, but yeah, well worth grabbing. I much preferred it to the Major Matchbox album, although that's got some good stuff on it, but I think I've probably outgrown that album. But this one, Super Real, the Dominicks, great album. I didn't catch them live. I hope they do reform and do some more work, because I'd like to catch them live. I'd like to catch the Stems live too if they ever decide to reform again. They have done a few times. I've heard they're very good. So I'd like to see them live again too. Anyway, the next one, look, I don't know that this one's any longer under the radar, but it certainly was when it came out. I remember one big hit off it. I remember hearing it on the radio, you know, and then I saw the documentary that came out, and I bought this album on CD, and then I found it on vinyl, so I grabbed it, and I've got another sort of compilation album of his, and it's Rodriguez, Cold Fact. Really nice album. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it and the documentary. If you haven't seen the documentary, do yourself a favour and have a look at the documentary and rush out and grab this album. I haven't got his second one, but this album is terrific. Cold Fact, Rodriguez. What's in here? Oh, it's got a pull out with it, I'll show you that. Bit of information on Rodriguez on this pull out. He was largely ignored back in the day, as the story goes. I remember hearing the song, what's the name of that song now? I really like the song, I Wonder. I remember hearing that on the radio when I was a young bloke. I definitely remember hearing it. And it's the record. Nice heavy vinyl, as was the Dominicks one actually. It's on nice heavy vinyl as well. Plays really well, sounds good. And this one does too. It's been nicely remastered, and look, I'm sure it's probably not that under the radar now, but yeah, it certainly would qualify for being under the radar when it was released, as it was fairly unnoticed, and it did sell a bit in South Africa and here in Australia, and apparently the label, his original label, ripped him off. He never saw a cent, went back to the construction industry or whatever it was. I think he lives in Detroit, and never saw a cent really. And then the documentary came out and he started touring again. I think he toured in Australia back in the day because he had some sales here, but yeah, Rodriguez, Cold Fact, great album. If you haven't given it a listen to yet, go for it. It's nice album. The next one, I don't know if this is under the radar. It's from a group called The Jam, who I love. This came out in 1982. Paul Weller and Co, Rick Buckler, Bruce Foxton, and this was, I think, their last official release as they split up, and it was their live album, Dig the New Breed. Now, by the time this came out, 82, I was 17, so you get your driver's licence in Australia at 17, and it was a lot easier in my day. I had one lesson and got me licence. I had older mates who taught me to drive, and they did a good job of it too, actually. I've never had a prang yet, touch wood, not superstitious. Any real wood here? Hang on, there's some real wood. Yeah, and when this came out, I raced out to get it. I was very excited, and I think it was announced afterwards that they split up. There's the inner sleeve there, some pictures of the band live. It's a live album from different concerts over different years, and I loved it. I hadn't heard the Jam live. They weren't huge in Australia, more of an underground thing really, and they were starting to make a bit of headway by this time. I don't know if this came out before The Gift, their last album, or after, but there's the record. This is on floppier vinyl, being that it's a 1982 release. But this is in excellent condition. looked after, no scratches or anything on this. I'm not sure how well it did here. I'd say it's under the radar, but if you do like the Jam and you haven't heard them live or got any of their live stuff, go out and do yourself a favour. Dig the new breed, the Jam. It's a great record, and at 17, you know, it's a time when you're full of life and excitement, and I lived music, lived and breathed music back in those days. I absolutely loved it. I loved the punk thing, I loved the new wave thing. I could see elements of new wave and punk drawing from sort of 60s garage and 60s bands that I loved, of course, like the Beatles, the Kinks, the Who, some of the Stone stuff that I liked back then, and all that stuff. I could see the link there myself. Whether other people agree, I don't know, but that's how I felt about it. So I loved all that sort of stuff, XTC and the Jam, and what else? Also, I liked Madness a lot. I went and saw them, actually. It was a great concert back in the day at the Entertainment Centre, which is no longer here now. They bowled that over. So it was a great time for me, and I was getting on it. I got right back into music, and of course by then earning a little bit of more money. I wasn't rich by any means. I had a car to run by that time, and you know, my stepdad had bought me a car and I was paying him back. I paid next to nothing for it, really. It was an old 1968 HR Holden, which is a General Motors company, and it was a beautiful old car, you know. So and I bought a new amp and guitar and stuff too. I was in my first band then, and we went right through most of the 80s, actually. We were basically learning how to play together and learning how to play our instruments, and we started on the road that year, actually, at 17, and you know, we got better as we went, and we always seemed to get a decent crowd on most gigs, and played all around country towns and the local area, and the odd Perth show, and did a lot of support shows for the bigger, more popular, better bands in Perth, but they always treated us well and stuff. It was quite a good music community in those days. It was a big scene in Perth, the live band scene. Back in those days, it was massive. Big concert rig PAs and everything mic'd up. It was great. You hit your guitar and boy, could you hear it. Anyway, so that's my 4 albums to the under the radar thread. Hopefully there's a few more videos. I've seen about 4 so far on it that Flipside CT Steve over in the USA has started. I thought it was a good idea for a thread. You don't have to agree with the albums I've picked. If you want to do a video, pick some albums. No one's going to harass you for what you think might be under the radar. What we all think is under the radar it can differ, can't it, to what other people think. Anyway, I've got my cup of tea in my Starbucks Christmas cup, as it's close to Christmas, or it's getting close in it. Hope everyone has a happy and safe and Merry Christmas and a great New Year. It's been a big year for me, and I'm looking forward to an exciting year in 2018. I've just bought myself a little camper. I'm going to get into some video and photography to sell as stock footage online. I've signed up with a couple of sites. I've got a few things up, not a lot yet, just to get going. And I want to go to some country towns, do some drone footage and stuff like that, and incorporate it in some of the music videos as well and what have you. But yeah, I want to do some of that, some old buildings and farms and things like that, whatever I can find. So I thought I'd get a camper, and that'd be fun to nip away. We've got a bit of battery power and solar, a small solar setup for that, so that'll be great. And I believe Santa might be getting me a little portable record player to take, and I've got some speakers to plug into it, so that'll be great. Should sound really good. Got some old studio monitors that I don't use anymore, so they're powered, so I'll use them for that. It should really boost the sound for that. So that'll be good, so I can listen to some records at night, you know, have a few beers or a cup of tea. Probably a cup of tea, to be honest, these days. Anyway, take care, everyone. and I'll see you hopefully next week. I'll go back to work on Friday. I've had a little bit of time off. I've had some my parents have had some problems and not been too well. My stepdad's not been too good and my mum's not been too well, so I've been helping out with them, happily helping out. But I saw them today and they're looking and seem a lot better, so that's good. They've slowly got better as the days have gone by, so that's terrific. Stay cool, happy Christmas, and see you soon. Ciao.